What's up, guys? So I filmed this video yesterday. It took me so long to film it, and at the end, when I was going to start editing it, I realized that I didn't record any sound. I was so mad. I was like, I was so frustrated. I was like, forget it. I just wasted like almost 2 hours filming it, and yeah, I still had my mic connected from the whole gameplay, and so I've been wanting to do this video for a while. I kind of wanted to do something that was a little more, not so much information, but more about my experience with video games. Of course, I've had a lot of emotional moments in video games throughout the years, like when I was playing like Nintendo games and stuff, but I couldn't remember. A lot of these are pretty recent, I think on the Xbox. So so don't think that these are the only ones that I'm thinking of. I'm sure there's a bunch of them that I'm not remembering. But you guys could go ahead and, you know, add in the comments which ones were really, really emotional for you in video games, and I might remember, you know, memories might start coming back, and I'm like, oh yeah, I like that one too. One of them is from the Nintendo when I was younger. It was probably one of the most emotional moments in a video game for me, like the first one where I was crying and I got depressed and that stuff. None of these are in any particular order except for the last one. The last one I am saving for last because it is the most emotional moment. Kind of the one that I put as the bar. You know, if any video game ever surpasses that one, then it's a really, you know, they did a very good job, at least when it comes to me. But the rest are just, you know, random order. None of them are like, oh, this one more than that one. God, I feel kind of dizzy. I was just playing Dead Space, and I'm just like, there's this like anti-gravity part, and I got dizzy. I had to turn it off. I was like, screw it, I can't do this. Oh, my head hurts. So before I go into this is obviously going to contain a lot of major spoilers for these games. But I will state the game before I actually go into it. So if you haven't played it and you want to play it, it's just kind of like a heads up. I'll see about putting annotations to skip specific ones. I don't know if I'll be able to do it, but I'll try to make it easier for you guys, so in case you guys want to see the whole video. So let me start off with the ones that you guys have seen me react to when I had the whole reaction cam. Some of you thought that it was made up, like I was pretending, but it wasn't. 100%. I don't pretend on camera. That's one thing that I'm really, really big about. I do not like to pretend. On camera, I'm who I am, and like I said, why would I want to film myself pretending? There's no point to that, and you could totally read into it anyways. And plus, I'm a horrible liar, so you would be able to realize if I was pretending. So these are, all of my reaction cams are completely authentic, 100%. The emotion moments for me in Mass Effect 3, there's a lot, but the ones that hit me pretty bad, the ones where I was like crying a little more and I was feeling like really really bad, were the first one was Legion. Legion's death hit me pretty hard just because I really love Legion. Legion was one of my favorite characters, not only in Mass Effect but also ever. I absolutely adore his character, the idea of Legion. I thought it was brilliant. You know, him being a Geth and all that, and you get like the inside look into the Geth without being afraid that he's gonna like blow your brains out. But you don't really trust him 100%. Like you want to, but you're still like, you have these doubts. And then he's synthetic, so it's not like he has emotions, and he could like backstab you anytime, but it wouldn't be because he was betraying you. You know, it was more like, oh, he's doing it for the good of the Geth. So when he deactivated himself in Mass Effect 3, I was kind of in shock. I was like, what? Especially because this happened right when he gained like his own individuality. He wasn't like part of the Geth, like the whole Geth as a whole anymore. And it was just so sad to me. I was like, For the first time, instead of saying we and us, he says I. So he finally becomes an individual, and then he deactivates himself, he kills himself, and I'm just like, so it hit me pretty hard. I was like, no, he's not dead, like, no way. So that was the saddest moment for me in Mass Effect 3, and I think you could tell with the game, the video game, the cam, the reaction cam. I was really, really sad in that. I was sad in the other ones too, but that one hit me hard, and so did Morden's death. Morden's death was also really hard on me because I loved Morden, and just how he went out, you know, trying to make right what he had done with the whole genophage thing, and sacrificing himself like that and stuff. I was just, it was, and then he was singing. I got the scene where he's singing. Oh, that just broke my heart. But I have seen the scene where you kill Morden, like the renegade option. That was pretty traumatizing. I don't know how people could do that, but since I didn't experience it, I just saw it on the internet. I'm not gonna even talk about it. It is a lot more emotional, but I'm not including it just because I didn't actually experience one-on-one. I wouldn't be able to do that. Even if I was playing a Renegade Shepherd, I would not be able to do that. Which is kind of surprising because I didn't really like Fable 3. I thought Fable 3 was kind of like, meh. Like, it had potential, but they just completely changed it, and it was all weird and everything. But the one thing that I really did love about Fable 3, and I've said this before, is the character Sir Walter Beck. Sir Walter Beck is one of my favorite characters. I absolutely adored him. I thought he was so cool. I kind of had this little crush thing going on, but not just because of that. Like, I loved him as a character. I thought he was a cool character. For those of you that haven't played Fable 3, Walter is, so he's been with you forever, and he's taught you everything you know. So yeah, he's like, you know, your father figure, your best friend. So you really get to feel that between the characters when they're talking to each other and all that. You feel this connection with him, and you really start to care about him as a character. At least I did. So there's this mission where you go to, I forgot what the place was called, but you go into this like old temple or something like that, or this cave. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was like, it looked like a temple, and you were going to look for the darkness. Aurora? I think that was it. I think that was the name of the area. Aurora. Could be wrong, but I think that's what it was. The little town. It was like out in the desert. And the darkness was, it was like a threat. It was like killing people and all this stuff. So you had to go, you went and you found it in this temple. It was like this black cloud of shadows, and these things would come out of it, like these shadows would come out of it, and they'd attack you and stuff like that. And Walter was with you, and Walter's like super scared. He was like, he was going pretty nuts. Like he was pretty scared, and he's like, oh my god, you know, what's gonna happen? This darkness is like getting to me, and you're just trying to calm him down, like, Walter, just chill, dude, you know, it's gonna be okay, just chill. And you keep going, and you hit to a part where you have to fight the darkness, a form of the darkness, and it possesses Walter. And you're just like, oh my god, you know, I think it goes in through him, through the eyes. I think that's what it was. The darkness just goes into his eyes, and he becomes possessed, and you have to, like, help him out and blah, blah, blah. And you have to fight these things. And I thought Walter was going to die. While I was fighting all this, I was like, oh my god, Walter's going to freaking die. I was like, my heart was pounding. I was so scared. I was like, oh my god, no. I didn't want him to die because, you know, he was one of my favorite characters. So that part was really emotional, but also with what came afterwards, like, after you're done fighting this boss, you go to Walter, and he's like, he can't see, he's blind. And I was just like, oh my god, he's blind. And he's like, I can't see, and he's going crazy. And you're just like, Walter, just calm down. And you grab his hand. You start leading him out of there, out of that temple. And you're just walking. You're just like, just chill, dude. And he's going crazy. He's like, oh. You lead him out of the temple and you're out in the desert and there's nothing around and you're just like, oh my god, how am I gonna get out of here? And Walter could barely walk anymore because he's like, the darkness like drained him or something, and he's like staggering, and you can't really hold. You're trying to hold him up, and he's this big guy, so it's hard. And I was playing a girl, so he's even bigger. You're just like moving really slow, and Walter's like, just leave me here. He falls, and you're just like, no, I'm not gonna freaking leave you. And you have the option to leave him immediately or stay, and I was like, no, I'm not gonna go. I'm staying here. So I was like, come on, Walter, we could do this, you know. And I grab him again, and we start walking. And this whole time, I was even tearing up. I was like, no. I was like talking to the TV myself. I was like, no, Walter, we're going. I'm not gonna leave you. And I kept on picking him up to go, and he kept on falling. And I was just like, oh my god, I'm gonna have to leave him. And he's just like, just go, leave me. I'll be here. But he was like dying. So that's the thing that really scared me, that he was dying. It wasn't just like, oh, I'm tired, just leave me here and go get help. No, he was dying. And I was like, oh my god, he's gonna die. And he's just like, go get help, and I'll be here, right? And he has like no more energy. He's like, I can't do it anymore. I can't. And I was just like, and I swear I stayed there just staring at the screen for like a long time before I left him. And I was just like, how am I gonna leave him? It was so hard. They did a really good job about that. That was one of my favorite things about that whole game. That moment that they had you carry Walter, and like it just really, really added to the feeling of who Walter was to you. And it also gave you this connection to him, to the player at least. You know, you're faced in this moment where you're just like, he's gonna die if I don't do something, and I can't just leave him because he's gonna die. So I thought that was brilliant, and it was super emotional for me. I was like, oh my god. My heart was pounding so fast, and I had to leave him. You have to leave him. You leave him, and I'm just like, oh, it tore my heart out when I had to leave him, and I just run back, get help, and they do go back and find Walter, and he's fine. He doesn't die. He's on the brink of dying. But they bring him, they cure him again, and he's fine, and his eyesight comes back. So that was really emotional. And tied to that, while I'm still talking about Fable 3, another emotional moment for me in that game was at the end, when you have to fight Walter because he gets possessed by the darkness again. And he's like really scared because he had already gone through that once. So now he's facing the darkness again, and he gets possessed again, and he becomes like an evil Walter, and you have to fight him, and you're just like, oh my god, are you kidding me? I have to fight Walter? I'm fighting him, and I don't want to hurt him, and I'm just like, no, please don't make me kill him, please. And I think there was a moment where he like falls or something, and he kind of regains his will back, and he's telling you to kill him, to not feel bad, it's not him anymore, to kill him and to stop this. And you're just like, oh no. And you have no other choice, so you pretty much end up killing Walter. And the darkness leaves him, and he's himself again in your arms, and he's dying. And he's just telling you how much he like loves you and how he's so proud of you. And I was like, I was in tears. It was so sad. You should see. My face was like, you know, that sad face. I was so sad. I was like, oh my god, oh my god. But he dies, and it ends up fueling you even more. Like you just get so mad. You're just like, oh.